Welcome to GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, aka the Going North Podcast. I'm your host, best-selling author, and certified self-leadership trainer with the John Maxwell team, Dom Brightman. And this is the podcast where authors from around the world help you realize that success is tangible. Now let's get on with the show. Today's episode is sponsored by the brand new Northbound to Your Success shop, where you can buy the wonderful logo, advance others to advance yourself in t-shirt form, mug form, heck, even a phone case if you like a phone case. Either way, click on shop on goingnorthpodcast.com, cop a t-shirt, hoodie or two, and be sure to tag the host when you do, so that way I can give you a shout out on a future episode of the podcast. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, we got another super special, awesome human for you today because my goodness, and what the heck, probably fits all three G's too, because today's guest in particular, my goodness, it's a four-pack ab revolution, because today's guest, four-time entrepreneur, fellow podcast host, and she's a six-figure, heard that right, folks, six-figure business coach who helps visionaries find their genius and monetize it. You heard that right, folks. She helps you to not be broke while you are finding your genius indeed. And she's also the freaking author of a new freaking awesome book called P.S. You're a Genius. So let's give it up for the KT herself, the kind and tantalizing Kelly Trach. How you doing today, Kelly?
Thank you so much for that lovely intro, Dom. That was by far the most fun intro I've had to me and my work. So I so appreciate being here, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Always got to feature the fellow young entrepreneurs doing something fabulous out in the world, doing some good in the world.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right indeed. So my goodness, a four-time entrepreneur and helping folks get those six figures. So my goodness, like where did it all begin? Like, did you ever grow up like at like 13 saying, you know what, I'm gonna grow up to one day be an entrepreneur? Like, is that how it happened?
Sort of. I always was fascinated in business and entrepreneurship. And when I was in grade 6, I remember telling my friend Julian, who sat beside me, that I wanted to grow up and be a businesswoman. So I think I sort of manifested that for myself. But I've always been fascinated by entrepreneurship and the idea that you can take something in your mind and turn it into a product or a service, and then people buy it, and people, get supported by the thing that you make. And taking an idea and turning it into something real and tangible. I think there's something really cool and special about that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Real with all the R's and D's. That's right. Enough R's to make the pirates happy. That's right.
Yes, indeed.
My goodness. So had that intuition as a younger type, because you're still young, you're not 85 yet. And now you're in this wonderful place where you finally joined the business of immortality. So how does it feel? P.S. You're a genius. Like, my goodness. Like, I didn't know I was a genius.
Hey, most people don't know that they're a genius, hence the importance of the book about I define your genius as the work that only you can do in the world. So when you take your top 3 to 5 most innate gifts and you do a task that perform or incorporates all of them, you create truly an outcome that only you can do. So I really have always kind of felt like most people don't really know what they're good at. That was certainly my case. I had no clue what I was good at, and I never thought of myself as a genius. And obviously through like my work and through my business coaching, I developed this framework to help people find their genius. But I wanted to have a title that kind of helped people, remind them that they're, a little bit better and further along than they may realize, hence the P.S. You're a Genius title.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like those classic letters from back in the day. It's like blah blah blah, Charlie Brown noise, blah, and then P.S. Hey, you're a genius. It's like, hey, you buy this book.
Yes, correct. P.S. Hey, you buy this book. Indeed.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So my goodness, my goodness. So what really helps you to find your genius indeed? Because I'm sure a lot of folks are probably feeling like dunces when they shouldn't have to.
Totally. So the way I teach it, because your genius is built upon your top 3 to 5 most innate gifts, I walk you through the book, or if you work with me privately, through a series of 10 self-reflective questions to help you figure out what are those things that come naturally to you, what's really simple and easy for you. So some of those questions include, how do your idols illuminate your gifts? AKA, I really believe that the greatness we see in others is really just the greatness we have inside ourselves, and we are all subconsciously gravitated and drawn towards people who exhibit the sort of same gifts and genius as us. Other questions include, what are you great at that nobody taught you how to do, aka what have you learned on your own, what did you kind of pick up and self-study that you've become truly amazing in, what's easy for you that other people struggle at, like what can you just sort of do instantly and on the spot with no preparation or effort. Also things like, what have you been doing unconsciously for a long time? So when you look back at all your past work experiences and internships and part-time gigs, what skill sets have you been honing over your entire lifetime? And yeah, those are just a sampler of some of the questions I would walk you through and the questions I would walk the reader through in the book to help them start figuring out their innate gifts. And then find the top 3 to 5 and put them together and do a task that involves all of them at once, and you create, lo and behold, your genius. So it's really pretty simple in theory.
I'm glad you added a little caveat at the end. It's like, oh, with theory, because it is true. Because sometimes I'm pretty sure it's with a lot of people you hear constantly all the time. It's like, oh God, is it really like new knowledge? Like, I need this next big thing, and then out of nowhere, you got like 99 free courses like hidden in your hard drive somewhere, and it's like you finally found the right thing, the right catalyst. It's like, oh, all right, my genius is here, and it's like, all right, sounds like you finally got this wonderful, I guess, Excalibur sword to help folks really find and hone that in and get to their top 3 to 5 things. So my goodness. And I love the fact that you use questions to do that because it really gets folks to think.
hmm Totally. Yeah, I've been honing this framework for years now in my private business coaching practice. And then once I mastered it with clients, I put it in my signature online course. And then when I started seeing a lot of amazing feedback from clients being like, this this piece about helping me find my genius was the catalyst for launching businesses, out earning corporate salaries by the end of the first year in business, booking speaking gigs at Google within 1 month of being open up for shop, um, putting in those resignation letters at full-time jobs within like 6 months of launching, all sorts of amazing accomplishments that really just boiled down to people who finally found that like source of genius, and then that really gave them confidence to feel less of like an imposter and more like they could really do it and feel confident putting themselves out into the world. So when I heard that repetitive amazing feedback, I knew I was kind of onto something that maybe more people needed to hear aside from just my students and clients, but potentially readers of a book. And then I got a book deal and here we are now.
Ah, deal. That's what I'm talking about. So you heard that right, folks. You buy this book, you'll get closer and closer to embracing your genius at six pack ab status, y'all. That's right. That's right.
Six-pack abs not included, but there's a really good chance you'll find your most innate gifts and your genius and develop a strategy and plan as to how you can pursue that in the world through a career or a business or a side hustle.
Ah, definitely could see that again. So my goodness. So helping folks find their genius, they get to take that big leap, sending that resignation letter, heck, even getting an invite to Google Talks and being in business for a freaking month. Like, my goodness, that's freaking amazing. So my goodness, so with all of your clients' success and really just showcasing that, hey, you're really helping people do wonderful things in the world. I'm sure there's been moments in your life where you didn't always have this success. So what was probably the greatest failure that actually led to your greatest success thus far?
I would say two really come to mind. So I had 3 failed tech startups in Silicon Valley before this business I do now as the consulting business. This is my 4th business that I've started, and I had gone down such an interesting path. I feel like in life where I had graduated business school from one of Canada's most competitive business schools, where I was on scholarship and graduated with honors on the dean's list. And I didn't like my job offers. So I was like, I'm just going to move down to Silicon Valley and start my own thing. And I got into a very prestigious pre-accelerator program taught by a billionaire venture capitalist. And still, no matter how hard I tried, startup one didn't work. And I tried a second time and startup two failed. And I tried a third time and startup three failed. And I had a week off and I took a vacation from San Francisco back to Canada. And I was in this cabin kind of in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere where the Wi-Fi is bad. So you really have to think about your life and what you're going to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, all my startups are failing. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm trying so hard. My usual tactics of trying harder and doubling down are not working because I can't get these startups to work. And I heard this question from what I would call my intuition. It was like my higher self, or it was my own voice, but very grounded in my own head. And it just sort of said to me, and it was a thought that came to me that I had never thought before. And it was just, Kelly, what if you just did what you were good at? And that was a thing I had never considered ever in my life, because I was always trying to push and achieve and strive for the biggest, hardest things. Case in point, trying to build, a unicorn tech startup. And that is what led me to really thinking about, well, what am I good at? What are the things that come naturally to me? And that turned into this business, which through many pivots and iterations, I finally landed on business coaching. I used to do different work, but through people being like, can you just essentially help me build something? You've got experience. You went to business school. You've been an entrepreneur many times. And I was like, no, you don't need my help. I've failed so many times. But anyways, that had been one of my biggest failures turned into one of my best successes, because I had finally sort of let go of living more of an ego-based life and waved my white flag and worked on stuff that felt good to create and tapped into my natural genius. I stumbled upon it by accident and it ended up leading me here. So that was big failure number one that led me to a huge success. And then the second one was I had a very difficult time getting this book traditionally published. I pitched over 200 literary agents and I got over 200 rejection letters, because I am getting a book deal and an agent is, hard to come by. But I just kind of kept pushing through because I really believed in the message. And I ended up getting 2 offers from agents, and I ended up getting an amazing book publishing deal from it. So yeah, those, you kind of can always look at failure as something that's, something that's going to stop you, or you just look at it as a stepping stone in your journey, and something that takes you to your ultimate goal. So I'm actually, looking back, always grateful for the times I've messed up or failed, because it took me where I wanted to go anyways in the end.
Yeah, that's right. Work a girl a day. That's right. Turning those failures into successes. 200 rejections. Forget y'all. I finally got the 2 yeses. It's actually kind of funny how that kind of really works in sales. What they say, 100
Yeah,
sales calls for at least 1 to 10 appointments at
totally.
least.
Yep. I always teach that in business coaching, is knowing your numbers and knowing how many things you have to hit in order to get a yes, and knowing your conversion rates. So that can really help, because I knew in the back of my head, I had heard that you need to pitch about 100 agents to get a book or a literary agent. So I was like, I'm just going to keep pitching until somebody says yes. So yeah, knowing your numbers can really help face that rejection for sure.
Congratulations indeed.
Thanks.
Congratulations. Well, speaking of know your numbers, this question popped in my head listening to some of your past interviews. So that accelerator program was the
Mhm.
billionaire Peter Diamandis?
No, but I used to do volunteer work for X Prize, which he's a part of, with
Oh,
Singularity University. Yeah, I used to do research, volunteer research for an X Prize, for a team that was trying to pitch for an X Prize award. Mhm.
okay. Because I was curious because I remember someone shot that idea to me a few years ago. It's like, hey, Dom, you're probably
Mhm.
good enough for this. And I think I was like 1 year older past the application rate for it or something back in the day. So like, and then when I heard your past stories about you actually being in that program, like, oh, I wonder if she was one of the lucky young ones to be part of that. So all right, cool, cool, cool. All righty, that's what I'm talking about, indeed.
Yeah.
So my goodness, so taking those wonderful lessons and really heck even being a powerful example to folks listening here now, it's like, hey, like Kelly here, she is on her 4th business, but the other 3 failed. So it's like, hey, like you just have to really keep swinging for the fences here, and eventually it'll work. Because even though folks might be like, I need to talk to a person who's like successful at everything, but it's kind of like getting relationship advice from a person who's been divorced 5 times, because they can tell you what not to do.
Mhm. Totally. I think the other key thing that made this business work and the other ones not is the fact that I am really doing my genius. And I think when I yank back the layers of what I actually do and what I actually monetize, my best gifts are speaking, teaching, creating, and connecting. And I funnel those through vehicles of like podcasting or coaching clients or hosting webinars or leading speaking engagements. All those things are tasks that I get to do my best gifts in. So it's really easy for me. And a sign that you're in your genius is the fact that you're yielding great results. It feels really fun and easy to do the work. It has that fluid feeling. You feel like you're in the flow, like time stops. You could do it forever. And you're being of service and you're producing like great work. So I think that's definitely a key differential as well of what made this fourth business work, and the other three, not so much. So that is such a game changer in terms of success, is really finding your unique genius. And it's partly why I like to preach about it so much, because it can really make the difference between something that takes off for you versus something you consistently struggle at, because you're not really hitting the nail on the head. But when you find your genius, you can hit the nail on the head properly because you know what to aim at.
There you go. That's right. You gotta hit the nail on the head, y'all. You gotta know your target, y'all. That's right. That's right.
You do need to know your target. Very important in business and life. Know the target you're aiming at.
That's right. That's right. They got them wedding registries for a reason, y'all. It's like, hey, got to know exactly where to hit on the list and know, hey, this person already has 20 toasters already. Don't buy a 21st. You can't buy anymore, y'all. That's right.
You can't eat that much toast.
That's right. Even if you're a toast master.
That's funny. I saw that you did Toastmasters. That's amazing. Great for you.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you indeed. Yes, indeed. You got to keep the bread warm and the wine in the bottle. That's right. That's right for the non-alcoholics. But hey, speaking of hitting targets and making sure you hit your numbers, one of the biggest struggles I feel like entrepreneurs face, it seems, is just monetizing their knowledge.
Mhm.
So you don't have to go too deep if you don't want to. But what do you think maybe 1 to 3 reasons why you think it's hard for certain entrepreneurs to monetize their business?
I think a couple of things. I'd say number one, people are not adequately monetizing their genius. I'm all about finding your genius and monetizing it. That's like my thing. That's my methodology. That's what I teach. You got to understand what you are uniquely good at and turn that into a product or a service or an offering. And truly do not try anything. Like, you can try other things, but truly focus on what you're truly great at and monetize that. Don't waste time doing the wrong thing because it'll lead you down the wrong path. So I'd say that could be a reason why people fail to get a business off the ground and struggle to make money, is simply not being in their genius, really not leveraging those best talents and gifts. And that can come up for a variety of reasons. I talk about some of the doubts that hold people back in the book about like, oh, I can't do that. Other people are already doing it, so I can't make money doing that. I don't have enough time or experience or certifications. A lot of doubts that we have that discredit our genius. So I would say that would be number one reason why people have a hard time monetizing. Number two, people, even if you are in your genius, sometimes people really fall short around the sales and marketing aspect, because business at the end of the day comes down to how well you can market yourself and sell yourself, and how good you are at putting yourself out there, being visible, selling, closing, being really comfortable in that sales marketing role. And I think sometimes it can be so easy for entrepreneurs to build and be creative and create stuff, and then it's like you put it out there and you don't get any sales and you're like, oh no, what did I do wrong? Well, chances are maybe you didn't market it or sell it as well as you could have. So that is another reason I see people really fail at monetizing. Other key things, I'd say those are probably the two biggest ones I see the most. Three is not really having that entrepreneurial spirit that can be sometimes an issue in the sense of like not being good at handling the rejection. And if you have a hard time, you put yourself out there a little bit, you don't get the results you want, like stopping and being like, oh well, I tried and it didn't work, so I'm going to stop here, versus like pushing on, continuing to go, pivoting if it's not working, but having that entrepreneurial spirit that enables you to push through during hard times. Other key things of stuff that causes businesses not to work, I quite often see people who have offers that are not clear, people who are not doing a good job of having very crystal clear copy, offers that are not well tailored to one market and solve a very clear problem and provide a very clear solution. Um, so I spent a lot of time working with clients on sales copy and pages and refining offers, tweaking offers, making sure you're really speaking to one client to make sure that you have product market fit, aka you have a very clear offer and a very clear product or service, and you have a very clear market that wants that product or service. Another reason people fail to monetize is they don't do enough idea validation at the start. I teach a lot of that in my main course, Your Conscious Empire, about the power of validating your idea before you sell it, to ensure that you're barking up the right tree when you launch, to ensure that you have people that actually do want to pay for your stuff and people that are interested in what you've got, versus just like guessing, but actually, basing it off talking to people and user interviews and customer validation calls. So those are some ideas off the top of my head. There's more, but those are sort of the main things I see a lot in my business coaching of why people really struggle to monetize. The good thing is that with like the right help, it's easy to fix. So it's really easy to fix, and I think every entrepreneur has been there. So never feel bad if that's you that's listening that's struggling to monetize. It's usually about doing a couple different things, like making sure you're really focused on your genius, making sure that your offers are super crystal clear, you're speaking to a clear target demographic, making sure you're really marketing and promoting your stuff, and making sure that you have that entrepreneurial spirit and you just don't give up right at the start. Keep going, give it a solid try, give it time, keep going, even if it fails the first time, and you'll eventually get there.
Yeah, she's preaching, y'all. That's right. She's preaching indeed, y'all. That's right. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. She's got some semi blacksmith swag going on, folks, helping you get that sharpened sword in your business, y'all. Gotta have that crystal clear offer. That's right. Can't just be selling fog to people. Like, that ain't
That's
how this
true.
works.
No, that's correct. That's correct.
That's right indeed. Because sometimes we can get so far in our own way, we carry our own fog machines with us. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna make my own smoke. I'm gonna come out and enter into a room of nothing. And then they'll finally understand. Even though there's nobody. Oh man. But definitely some solid tips indeed. You're so right about definitely knowing your audience. And funny enough, there's social conflicting advice, but that seems to be the main thing, especially when it comes to marketing. It's like, hey, like know who your target audience. That way you know who you're speaking to. So that way you don't
Mhm.
try to sell a bunch of random advertise to a casino to a bunch of nuns.
Totally. You got to know who you're speaking to.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, my goodness. So, since you've been on this mini interview tour promoting the book, your business, and future projects, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often?
Not really, but I do like to teach about the power of listening to your intuition, especially in business. I find that is such a key tool. It's something I talk a lot about in my book under part 4, called The New Playbook for Success, which is sort of like new rules. Once you realize you're a genius, here are some other kind of new rules for success that you can live by. And one of those is titled Throw Out Everything You Know and Go With How It Feels. And it's a chapter about how to listen to your intuition and making intuitive decisions and intuitive decision making, because I believe, geniuses really follow those intuitive hunches and they do what feels right for them. And sometimes you don't know why, but you just feel something about something in a certain way. And that intuitive hunch turns out to be true, right? So it's just that principle of really listening to your intuition in business and letting your gut guide you more sometimes than, the profit and loss statement or what looks good in an Excel spreadsheet, but just trusting that instinct because it usually is right.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Trust that gut, y'all. That's right. That's right, indeed. Even if the gut wants egg rolls, trust that gut, y'all. That's right. That's right. But yeah, you're definitely so right about that. And I feel like that's being brought more to the forefront, just like the whole ministry of business, the spiritual entrepreneur, spiritpreneur,
Mhm.
heck, even heartpreneurs, which is actually a thing out there, which is freaking fabulous. Because the thing is, like, you're so right about that, because the whole profit and loss statement, like that, those numbers can be fudged a bit, and it's not ethical if you do that. But some people try to do that, and it's really just making sure you make the right decision at the right time, or like even just following through with what you feel like may be the right intention to go with. So that is so right indeed. So what you think is probably the first step folks should take to really step into their intuition in terms of building it up and coming more from the gut as opposed to just trying to be all in their head all the time?
I say the first thing is knowing that you have an intuition. Everybody does, because we all know that feeling. And I talk about it in my book. It's like step one is like if you go into a creepy alley at night and you get that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I need to get out of here. There's a good chance, you have your intuition. It's there. We all know what it's like to have that feeling of like, oh, I'm not safe. I should go. Um, so just remembering that you have that intuition and it's already there. Some people sometimes are like, well, maybe other people have it, but I'm not tapped in. We all have that. So that's step one. Step two is understanding how you receive that intuitive insight. So I think that intuition connects with us through like our senses. So it's like it could be seeing something in our mind's eye. So for example, in your intuition, you could be working with it in your creative process of like when an architect sits down to design a room, it's like seeing it in your mind's eye of how it could lay out. Or if you're working with a client, like I always get visuals in my mind's eye of like what things could be like, or sort of seeing things in your mind's eye. The second would be like hearing, connecting through an auditory way with your intuition of like if you ask yourself sort of questions and like hearing things back in like a calm, grounded way. Or sometimes we just have like intuitive knowledge that comes to us where sometimes we just get like that deep, profound answer in our head or something, and you just sort of hear it in an audible way and you're like, oh wow, who said that? That sounds really good. That's sometimes our higher, we can call your inner voice, your higher self speaking to us. So connecting auditorily. Some people get intuition through like smell or taste. So say for example, I like to use this example in the book because it's simple to know, but it's like if you were like, well, we're making a meringue pie, should we use lemon or lime? Somebody might get that taste in their mouth of like a lemon or lime, or like smell it, even though it's not there, of lemon or lime. Or just in clear knowing. Clear knowing, sometimes you just know and you don't know why, and that could be another way in which you connect to your intuition. But I like to always teach, those are the sort of the main ways we kind of connect to our intuition, like sometimes as well as feeling things in the body. So the body never lies. So it could be, if you're really going through a scenario and you don't know what to pick, if your body's all like tense and tightened up, and your shoulders are hunched inwards, or you're like chewing at your lip, that's kind of the body trying to tell you no. So step one is knowing you have an intuition. Step two is understanding how you receive intuitive insight. Is it hearing it? Is it feeling it in your body? Is it smelling or tasting? Is it just a clear knowing? And then my third step is to practice with the small stuff. So it's like I like to offer, going to make your next choice for a coffee order or like tomato sauce at the grocery store, an intuitive choice. So if you're standing in the grocery store and there's all the tomato sauces, letting sort of your intuition guide you to the right jar. So maybe you'll like feel pulled to one of them, or you'll just, you have a gut instinct that this is the one you want, but essentially trying to make quick intuitive decisions fast, and trying to like go into the store and just let yourself be guided to the right jar and trusting it and going with it. Or when you go and order your next coffee, looking at what pops out at you, first, and going with that gut instinct. Those are easy ways to start building up your muscle for your intuition and start trusting it. Because when you are living your most aligned life and you are pursuing big things in the world, the questions get harder. It's like, do I quit my job or do I stay? Do I move across the country? Do I not? So practice now with the small stuff about how you connect with your intuition, how you receive that intuitive insight. Practice trusting the wisdom of your body so that when you do make the bigger decisions, it's easier to call upon those resources.
Oh yeah, that's right. You can call upon those resources indeed. That's right. That's right indeed. You can be like, hey, I got a flip phone here. Like, I need a smartphone here. That's right. I'm living in 2004. Like, help me get to 2022.
That's true. That's true.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And good stuff indeed. She's over delivering, y'all. That's right. She's over delivering indeed. And I love it. And I think a lot of folks are starting to get more in tune with that fact, even if they may be atheists in a way. It's like, oh, you know what? I think I'm getting more to agnostic. It's like something's out there, but I'm not sure. And some folks are like diehard, like in a way, Christian, Muslim, or Buddhist or whatever. It's like, you know what? There's something truly out there. I'm like devout, really into this business. Like, I'm gonna pick this jar of Prego tomato sauce. I'm gonna stick with it, darn it. Just gonna
Mm-hmm.
stick with it. That's right, gonna stick with it indeed. So since we got into the land of tomato sauce and lemon meringue pie and key lime pie. If this
Mhm.
wonderful book, P.S. Your Genius, was a food item, what would it be and why?
Ooh, the first visual I got in my head was probably cotton candy. I think the cover, I mean, it's this pink and blue, pastel watercolor. So I think it would be well suited as cotton candy visually, like a pink cotton candy or a blue cotton candy. It's also a pretty light and fun, easy read. So I think a sugary sweet treat like cotton candy would best encompass the body of work. That's a fun question. I like that question.
Ah, sweet. And I love the answer for cotton candy because it's so darn true. Because it's like you check out your site, you listen to your show, and then you look at the cover of the book. It's like, you know what? It makes perfect sense indeed. Because it's light-hearted, it's playful, but hey, it's good for you. It's good for you indeed. Because hey, ain't nothing like cotton candy on a bad day if you're at a carnival or something.
Totally, totally. Yeah.
That's right indeed. You could even pop out an old Mandy Moore song if you want to. Like, I'm missing this book like candy. I need to buy another copy. That's right. Oh my goodness. Well, this has been freaking fun on the bun. So we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive. And that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time you're in the current year of 2022 with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Probably just to keep going and trust that I was on the right track. I think I have doubted myself a lot in my journey. I've had a really interesting journey, a really different journey than other people. And I think I would just say, keep going. You're doing fine. You're doing great. And trust that it's all going to work out in the exact right divine timing.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go, indeed. There you go. Keep going, indeed. Keep going, indeed. That's right, folks. The good news is it's only the beginning for Kelly Kills, y'all. That's right. That's right. Miss KT here is on a roll like a hot dog, baby. TV show coming soon, right?
I'm hoping so. That's the goals in the works.
That's right. She's off. She's after two T's, a TED Talk, and a wonderful TV show down the road so she can put the podcast to bed and do the real show. It'd be like Impact Theory. In this case, it may be, who knows? It might be Moose Tracks for Success. You never know.
You never know. Yeah, it's true.
Oh yeah, that's right. Just have a random jar of Moose Tracks ice cream in the background. It's like, hey, it's Kelly Tracks. I got this Moose Tracks flavored ice cream here for no reation.
Moose Tracks is delicious. Moose Tracks is very delicious. And given that I'm Canadian, very on brand.
There we go. There you go. That's right. And she's gonna help your business get that maple leaf muscle, y'all. That's right.
There you
That's right
go. There
indeed.
you go. I should hire you to do my marketing slogans.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely gotta love it indeed. Especially if Macho Man Randy Savage voices in the commercials for it. That's right, indeed. So, my goodness. So, for those who want to keep in contact with you and all the wonderful progress and your journey, heck, me even see you one day and buy a cup of chai tea, what would be the best way for folks to do so?
People can come check me out online at kellytrach.com. I pronounce my last name like track, like track and field, but it's spelled Trach. So it's kellytrach.com. And you can get your copy of PS Your Genius at kellytrach.com/books.
That's right, folks. Better pick up that book. P.S. You're a genius. That's right. That's you listening right now. Yeah. But yeah, folks, definitely pick up that wonderful book and be on the lookout for the audio book as well, right?
Coming soon, very soon. And narrated by me as well, which is fun. So you can hear me talk to you for 6 hours.
Just the way you said that, I saw music.
Thank you. Well, there was 6 more hours of that where that came from.
I probably listened to maybe 3 hours of this before we got on. So hey, I'm probably halfway there. So it's all good.
There
So
you
any
go.
parting words before we close up shop, Kelly?
No, thank you so much for having me, Dom. It was such a pleasure to be here. And yeah, I feel like if listeners feel called to find their genius and discover the work that only they can do in the world, and find their innate gifts, even when they feel like they have none, I would love to have you as a reader of P.S. You're a Genius, and I'd love to help you find that thing that only you can do.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one listening right now. Thanks a bunch for sharing some of your time out of your day to listen to this podcast. to take it to the next level, be sure to share it with someone that you care about and that would get something out of this podcast too. Advance others to advance yourself.